Okay, so first within our demo, we're going to begin with how to get the logs into Splunk. There's three ways to do that. We could do that first through group policy, and that's creating a new object and then going into that object to modify it to enable PowerShell logging. It's located under Computer Management, Policies, Administrative Templates, Windows Components, and Windows PowerShell. You can enable all of them, or in particular for this instance, we're just looking at PowerShell script block logging. So by just double clicking this and enabling it, it will begin to log those for us. Now you could deploy this across the whole enterprise using this method. Maybe it's only for particular endpoints or critical assets that you want to perform script block logging on. This will be one way to do it. Another way to do it is by modifying the registry. Now, it's a little nested, so I have already enabled it on this box and I removed it, but it's under HKey local machine, software, WoW 6432 node, policies, Microsoft, Windows, PowerShell. And each one will have its own little folder, and if they're enabled, they will have their values set as well, the keys and the values, they'll all be there. And so the third way is a script that we wrote called invoke SPL PowerShell audit logging. This script will allow you to enable everything, all audit logging, and that's script block, module, and transcript, and process creation with command line, which is 4688. We also provided some examples within it. So if you run get help, our invoke command, and -examples, you'll receive the examples on the command prompt, which allow you to quickly copy and paste out, disabling or enabling all and whatnot. So all of that's in here as well. You can get that from my notes, utilities, and invoke SPL PowerShell audit logging script. So in this instance, I'm going to go ahead and run this. I've already imported it. And so now I'm actually first going to go ahead and run get help so we see what it says. We see here, it gives you some basics. It's just a simple dash method, and then you can tab complete what you want to enable or disable. And then for examples, dash example, and you'll see all 4 examples I have in here. In our instance today, I'm just going to enable all of them, which is example number 2, and hit enter. All right, now all 3 are enabled, and I can validate that by going to the registry and refreshing, and you'll see module logging is good, script, and the output directory for transcript logging. And that's that for getting data. From there, we will want to begin testing. To test, I've been using Atomic Red Team. If you haven't used Atomic Red Team before, I would recommend checking out the Invoke Atomic Red Team repo from Red Canary. Click on the wiki, and that'll take you to the wiki page, and then click installation. And the method I recommend is installing the framework, the PowerShell execution framework, which is Invoke Atomic Red Team, and then also it will install the Atomics folder. So it'll download all of the Atomic Red Team piece. It's as simple as just copying and pasting this into your PowerShell session, and then you're ready to go. Now from here, I'm going to go ahead and execute all of it. The T1059001 atomic tests. These are all PowerShell tests, and it will now cycle through all 20 of these. While that's going, I'm going to minimize it just so it's running in the background, generating that telemetry. Talk a little bit about the analytic I created and why. I wrote this as a way to find matching keywords within all the script block data. It's a little voluminous in particular because there's just a lot of data that script block logging captures. It's going to minimize. And I wanted a quick way to kind of get through it all. And so initially it just started with typing keywords in. Who's using base 64? Just type base 64. And the data would come back. But I wanted a way to go and say, show me all from base 64, but I also want to know which scripts it was hitting on. And then I started to add scoring to it. So the final query ended up looking like this. Now this is a mix of just looking for keywords and then also a really great blog from Alex here. And he had wrote very similar patterns where it would generate almost like alerts or scores and whatnot based on things. So I borrowed some items from him and I kind of merged ours together so that we could create like a really great one just for hunting through the data, not in particular to be used for alerting or anything like that, but just for hunting. And like I mentioned, the scoring, all the scorings are right here, and that's based on the fidelity of the particular event. I believe like the do it one right here at the top, this is related to Cobalt Strike. That's a function name. So I gave it a 4. My highest score is a 5. So if it's something that's writing a zip stream or write zip file or expanding, compressing, I gave it a 5 as well because that's not that common and it's pretty high fidelity. So this is the final script. I'm going to rerun it. We have a lot of data in there now. We have a lot of PowerShell that's executing here in the background as well. And it's going to come up, and I set the format to show as a heat map as the data overlay. And the idea is that I can come in here and I can sort by score. And there's no like top level score. It doesn't top out at like 100. It could be anything. I don't have like a set score for anything in particular. But obviously the higher the score, the more of interest this is going to be. Like this one in particular, it says it's 20. It's hitting on base 64, encoded command, invoke expression. It has my empire match in here. Let's check it out. You just click this, view those events, come into the new search here, and we will begin to see that exact match that it triggered on. And you can see here, this is related to PowerShell Empire. And you can see all the pieces that it probably matched on, even if it looks a little funny. But that is exactly what I wanted to know and wanted to find. And that's why certain ones like this Empire match has a score of 5 and not like a 2, because I know this is really high fidelity. As an analyst, this might be of interest to you to flip this and look at the inverse of scores. What is down here? We have suspicious keywords, commandlets being used, there's a couple gets, things like that. Maybe some of these are of interest. So it's good to look at this from all angles. And that's what I love about this query is you're able to say, well, show me what's really happening within all of my script block data. It's also very easy to expand on this. And so if there's anything that's missing or if you want to add, a certain function or keyword, that's why I love this. You just create a new eval statement, add it to the totals and to the stats, and then now you can begin to key off of that down here on your table. Last is I wanted to share a little bit about Hurricane Labs. They wrote an excellent TA for PowerShell transcript, module, and script block logs. They do break it up very nicely, and they also have a blog here that covers everything that they had researched on transcript logging as well. PowerShell script log logging and whatnot. Very, very detailed, excellent work from last year. We first began with how to log PowerShell script log logging using group policy, the Windows registry, and our new tool, Invoke SPL PowerShell audit logging. From there, we wanted to generate telemetry using Invoke Atomic Red Team to execute T1059.001, which is PowerShell, so that we had fresh telemetry trace data so that we could hunt through it. And inside Splunk, we showcased our new analytic for hunting through PowerShell 4104 event data. This analytic helps us with generating keywords and scoring that data so that we're able to hunt through it quickly and understand what is in our script block logging data. Hope you found this extremely valuable, and thank you for joining.